da 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 dee.
Are you going to put your jacket on? Dressed. Should have been gold. Who told us
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Canon Gunn, and if you fail to remember any other of the thoughts that I'm about to share with you, just remember this: the bigger the gun, the bigger the ball. Dearly beloved, the reading today is taken from the Book of Life, chapter 1961, and starting at verse August the 12th. And it came to pass, there was a virgin called Ruth Elizabeth, fair of face, and who, being a girl of some wisdom, certainly knew how to keep her oil lamp well filled, and the wick properly trimmed, who cast her eyes upon an innocent youth known as Michael John, from the lands to the south. They had met in one of the many tabernacles where gathered the young people of their day. It is believed they may even have held hands on one occasion, but only under the table, of course, because this sort of behaviour was considered quite untoward at that time. But in the fullness of time, they did become betrothed. And lo, on the forementioned date of August the 12th, in the year of our Lord 1961, Ruth Elizabeth and Michael John were now united in wedlock.
He's lost his place.
United in wedlock in a town which is on the northern edge of civilization. Not even with goat tracks at that time, but it's now called Northampton. Great celebrations surrounded the couple. Many cattle and sheep were slaughtered for the feast, and the crowds all enjoyed cupcakes and wine. Except one, perhaps. The hapless father of the bride, Jack, was promised a dowry by the bridegroom. But to this day, no one knows if one was ever received. John and Ruth, as they now prefer to be known, both worked diligently. He in the money-changing temples to the south, and she teaching little children in the villages in the countryside. In the fullness of time, they begat offspring, 3 in number, David, Simon and Rachel, who were all gifted and fair of face. Oh, and I digress, all have travelled far over land and sea to be here today. They were brought up in the ways of the Lord and continue to this day to find favour with their parents. The high priest of the temples to the south then offered John and his family great wealth if they would make a voyage over the western sky to lands as yet unseen, to tame the natives, to spread the good news and enlarge their empire. John and Ruth with their family undertook this challenge and set sail on a westerly course. Many feared they would drop off the edge of the world. For as of course we all know, the world is flat. But lo, they sailed on without fear, because the Lord was with them. And they found that the world is indeed not flat, and they sailed safely over the horizon and onwards to eventually find land near a river, both wide and deep, which is now known as the St. Lawrence Seaway. The family prospered, as the natives were quite friendly, and the children all enjoyed the strange weather, which enabled them to slide down the hills during the winter. The parents became highly respected and trusted by the indigenous population. John went forth into the lakes and the mountain, which is known as Mount Real, to spread the word, and the people believed and came unto the Lord. I believe the family might even have stayed there forever, having discovered this land of plenty. But their contract to the money changers having been fulfilled, they decided to come home again. This greatly pleased their wider circle of friends, as John and Ruth have made very many friends over their lives. And I say to you, digressing yet again, that I for one can vouch that over more than 70 years and 10, no man ever had truer friends than this lovely couple. In fact, there can be few others who during their lives have made and kept so many good friends as John and Ruth. That is surely witnessed by the fact that there are several people here today who were at John and Ruth's wedding feast, yea, even 50 years ago. And we welcome them all, again if you don't mind. The Reverend Cyril Johnson is the minister who joined them in wedlock, and his daughters Frances and Kate, who were handmaidens to the bride. John's sister Marjorie Ledner and her son Martin, who was a page boy to the festivities, and also Alan. Brothers John and Ralph Phillips. John is the one of noble brow right here, and they kept order amongst the wine bibbers. Brian and Gillian Mansfield. Gillian is normal enough, but I think there must be something deeply suspicious in Brian's past, because he also answers to the name of Fred. Oh.
That's all right,
Jane and Tony Sims. Jane is Ruth's cousin, and Sadie Berridge, and Sadie's Ruth's oldest friend. Once more I digress, but at the end of the day, all this matters not one jot or tittle. So to get back to the reading, they did come home to these shores again, and held yet more parties. Yea, more cattle and sheep slaughtered, and yea, even more cupcakes. For through all their lives, John and Ruth have enjoyed holding many parties, as often as you would dust the sand off your feet. There may be just a few people here who are unfamiliar with parts of this reading, but you must remember this is from not the authorized, but the revised version. And after all, I should know because I've just revised it. So, here ends my reading. All that remains is for me to invite you all to fill your vessels with wine and rise and drink a toast to Ruth and John, honouring them for their lives well lived and wishing them many more years of happiness together. I give you Ruth and John. Ruth and John.